Thank you all for being here. For those in the United States, I know it may be late now, so I don't expect many people from the United States to be in this live. But anyway, you can watch the replay. Oh, wait, there's some of them here. Anyway, well, anyway, I don't want to make this live too long. Some of you need to go to sleep. For those, there's someone from Australia, Les. Hey, Les, I'm glad you're here. I really am. It's evening over there with you. Okay, in this live stream, I want to show you. I'm not going to show many visuals. Maybe I won't even show any visuals at all, but this is what I want to do in this live stream. I want to show you where this whole cancel culture went wrong. And for those who are not aware what cancel culture is this tendency. It began around 2010, but it is since 2017 that it became quite dominant. It's this tendency of people online to cry out and to push for someone to be erased from public memory and public history. Now, the outcry to erase someone from history itself is nothing new. I mean, if something horrible happened to you, you don't want to be don't want to keep being reminded of it, whether it's a trauma or some loss. You don't. So it's in human nature to want to forget about some of the bad things that happened. But as any psychologist can tell you, just forgetting about things doesn't guarantee your healing or recovering. Often forgetting about things will make it worse. So at some point, as an individual, you need to face the uncomfortable things in life, whether it's traumas or discomforts, whatever it is, you need to face them and deal with them in a constructive way. I see more people came in. Mila is here, Christopher is here, Les is here, Steve E, Aaron, glad you're here, Aaron, Maria, Chris. So look, in life, you have to learn to deal with uncomfortable things in a proper way. Just forgetting about them is not going to solve anything. It's going to bring more trouble in the future. Just delaying an execution is what you do. Now, about cancel culture. Cancel culture itself is nothing new, as already explained, throughout history that existed. For example, Emperor Caligula. Caligula was a Roman emperor who was so abusive, so narcissistic, and so embarrassing to the Roman public that when he was killed, the public con- uh, called him memoria condemnatio, something like that. It means a condemnable memory. That is someone they don't want to remember. Now, they cannot erase him from history literally because they can't undo the past. Caligula existed, he had this embarrassing rule of the Roman Empire, and he caused harm. They can't undo the harm, but they just didn't want to be remembered of him. Now, if someone committed a lot of harm, for example, Emperor Caligula would rape a husband in front of his wife just to prove himself to be superior in the empire. If someone was do things like that, I can understand people don't want to be remembered of him. But I still need to admit he was here. Okay, so the longing to cancel someone exists since ancient times. Remember, they tried to cancel Jesus, and that did not work out well. They went so far to want him crucified, publicly molested and humiliated at a cross. They did what they wanted to do and it backfired like never before. Listen, cancel culture, people say, oh, it's toxic, this, that. If you talk about the modern cancel culture, that one is toxic, absolutely. But canceling evildoers itself is not wrong. Let me tell you why. Let's say now you have this entrepreneur, okay? He starts his own business selling olive oil, but he doesn't produce olive oil himself. The olive oil needs to grow on farms. And this olive oil exporter becomes a multimillionaire. But how did he become a multimillionaire? By exploiting the farmers and abusing his workers. If people keep on endorsing this man, knowing he's abusing the farmers and harming his workers, that means that they are collaborators of his narcissistic abuse. So in that case, people have to say, sir, we don't mind you being this successful entrepreneur, but your success is based on oppressing other people. We can't have this. Either you will reform how you treat other people and you'll go into therapy to become a better human being, or we will boycott your product. Simple as that. That's a good way to counsel an evildoer. And by doing that, you're giving a message to the public: listen, we care about you. We care about how people treat you. We don't care this man is a big icon in our culture. If he thinks he has a right to play God over you at your expense, we call him out. And when you do that, you motivate people to be part of the community. And you motivate people to even look in the mirror and self reflect and want to change. Because people know if I'm wrong, I always get the opportunity to become better. And so even those people at the top are called out and offered an opportunity to change for the better. So if they do it for people at the top, they have to do it for me too. So when you when you cancel, when you use cancel culture the proper way on evildoers, it is beneficial to the community. Because imagine if there's a community where you have bad guys taking advantage of everyone and they get an easy life and everyone is okay with it. Would that motivate you to be part of that community? I'm asking you this question and I want you to answer in the live chat. Would you be motivated to be part of a community where the bad guys just get away with almost anything and you have an easy life and you just have to take it? But when you are accused of something wrong, you get smacked around, would you be okay with such a double treatment? The bad guys are successful, get a pat on the back no matter what, and you, with the least transgression, you're slapped around. Would you be okay with such a situation? Let me know in the live chat. Would you be okay with it? Let me know. I'm waiting for your answers. Would you be okay with such a situation? Nope, you wouldn't. Nobody in their right mind should be okay with such a situation. Because that means that if someone has enough leverage, they can do whatever they want to you and you have to shut up and take it. But when you malfunction, you don't even have to commit a crime or do something wrong. When you malfunction, they get pissed off, they turn on you. That means you're not safe in the community. Every human being has a psychological need for safety. We want to be safe on a social level as human beings. That's natural, that's healthy, that's how God designed us. So that's why it's good to have checks and balances in any community. Listen, when David when David went wrong by believing Bathsheba's nonsense and getting along with her, wanted to get rid of her husband because Bathsheba was a witch. She was a gold digger. They wanted to climb up the social ladder by getting rid of her husband and joining David. David should have seen through this plot of Bathsheba and stepped out of it. No, he got along for some stupid reason and he caused the death of Uriah. I don't care whether Uriah was guilty or not. David should have known better not to get along with the manipulation of a witch. Her attitudes by baiting in public near the palace of the king, that already was a type of witchcraft. No woman in her right mind goes and bait in public near the residence of the leader of your country. Are you kidding me? You're out to do something. Now, David had various issues. David had multiple failures, also during his rule as over Israel. But that thing, when David simped after Bathsheba, the Heavenly Father absolutely did not take it. So the Heavenly Father himself brought consequences on David's household. And the Heavenly Father made plain from now on, your household will not enjoy the protection you had before. So I don't allow violence to haunt your household as a result of this. That was not a punishment on David, it was just to allow the consequences to run its course. Because if the Heavenly Father would have covered up David, and remember what David did was a public crime by enabling this narcissistic witch, Bathsheba. and her husband got killed. By him doing this, he brought he harmed the reputation of both the Heavenly Father as well as other believers. So it was quite a big thing. Not just because Uriah died, because Uriah himself also kept himself in danger. Uriah could have kept God out of the situation. I'm not blaming the victim here, but Uriah was grown enough to realize something was off and to get out of the situation. He stayed in. So Uriah also had his part in what happened to him. Absolutely. Because how can you be married to a woman like that and not aware the type of dangerous woman you're married to? Now, David was wrong for falling for a bullshit. Absolutely. And David was dealt with. The Heavenly Father waited for several months, and he sent the prophet Nathan to call out David, and David repented. David even recognized how far gone he was, but he repented. But still, God allowed bad things to happen so that all believers in the future would know: do not fall for witches nor anyone who will place a sympathy game on you. So that's a lesson for all the simps out there. Don't be like what David did. Now, this saving issue of David was something that he had since his youth. Some say, why didn't God deal with it? Well, God knows what he's doing. Now, understand this: God called David out as an example to us that if any believer is stuck in some type of dark pattern, we need to say, no, 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 we can't do this. No, no, no. Now, the Heavenly Father did not cancel David. He canceled what David did. The Heavenly Father will cancel the negativity, but he will not cancel you. So that's the difference between the world's cancel culture and the quote unquote cancel culture that Heavenly Father enacts. It's not really a cancel culture when God does it. God shuts down the negativity to preserve the human beings. In the world, they want to attack the human being just to be left alone. So the cancel culture in the world by default is toxic. They can use it a proper way, but often it doesn't happen like that. So the modern day cancel culture is mostly virtual. In the past, it would be in a village. You live in a village, you did something others didn't like, and now they want you out of the village or they want you dead. So they will come up with an excuse to kick you out of the village. That's how cancel culture was before mainstream media, before instant communication. Today, with people with a large platform, it's mostly virtual on the internet. Now, I want to ask you one question. Why are those people who are demanding the canceling or the counseling of those people, why are they often anonymous? I mean, if you're so radical and determined to have someone cancelled, why don't you come out and show your face for everyone to see it? And why don't you give an explanation why you want them cancelled? Haven't you noticed that many of those people who demand canceling, they never show themselves? Why do you think they're so anonymous? Let me know in the live chat. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer. Just give me a short explanation why you think they're often so anonymous. I'm curious for your answers. Let me know. I'll wait. The reason I'm doing this is because I want you to participate in this live stream. So why do you think many of those people who demand canceling are often so anonymous? Okay, just 1 minute more. 1 minute more and I'll continue to give others a chance to answer too. I saw if you answer already. I'm happy with the answers I'm getting because all your answers are on point. But I still want to wait for 40 seconds still, and then I'm going to continue. I'm happy with your answers. Hold on. 30 seconds. All right. Few seconds and it's okay, good. Let's continue. Let's look at the answers. Chris said they don't want to be want to draw attention themselves. Maria says cowards. Chris said because they are just taking out aggression most of the time. Les said they're in fear of being cons themselves. All those answers are true. Because remember, the Heavenly Father consoles the sin. He consoles the iniquity. That's what the Heavenly Father does to preserve the human beings. That's Heavenly Father's purpose. Society, when they're upset, they just want to take it out on someone to be relieved. They want to this they want to kill off a human being. That's blood sacrifice to get ease. Now look at this. If you see that someone in your community or someone that's influence of your community is truly a horrible human being, then you should call this out. But ask yourself one question. How come I'm the only one seeing it? I want you to ask that question first. How come I'm the only one seeing it? If there is a guy or a woman, because there are also women that can be horrible, if there's an individual that's quite horrible and their horrible character is afflicting the community, it shouldn't only be you who's noticing it. If you feel like you're the only one seeing it, that means others are in denial. It means others are collaborating with it. And when others are collaborating with it, then don't call it out publicly. Don't. Instead, and let me say this, don't even call it out. Rashid, what are you telling me? Are you telling me that if there's a child molester that runs a big corporation, I shouldn't expose the guy? Listen, I'm not saying that the child molestation shouldn't be exposed if that's the case. Or if someone is if someone is a horrible father abusing his own children, yet he's also a pastor in the community. There's another example. I'm not saying that the crime should not be exposed, but ask yourself the following. How come you're the only one seeing it? I'm telling you one thing, no crime or no wrongdoing remains hidden. Even if you don't see and you're not aware of what the wrongdoing or the crime is, the negative effect on the community is always there. So people should have noticed something's wrong in this community. The fact that people don't want to look into what's wrong with the community means they are collaborators. Now, Jesus warned us not to cast your pearls before swine. Listen to what I'm saying. When you call out someone, or you call out something in the community that people are collaborating with, you are turning yourself into a target. You will trigger people to become your enemies and they'll begin to target you. So you'll be endangering yourself. And by you endangering yourself, you'll also be endangering those around you, your friends, your family, those who are involved with you. Because when the masses can't get you to go after those people, or they'll go after those people to get to you. That's how reckless the masses are. So Christ said, don't cast your pearls before swine, and don't give us holy to dogs, lest they t- trample on the pearls, turn around to devour you. So look at this. Christ called things out, but he's God. He can deal with all the retaliation easily. But there were times he did not call things out because I want to give an example to the believers because we have to follow Christ. Christ said, when people refuse to receive your warnings, nor your good impact, shake the dust off your feet and move on. He did the same thing various times. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to give us an example. Now, the scribes and Pharisees, who were the wizards oppressing the people, those were the ones who did not leave alone. Those were the ones who had to be dealt with. But if someone was not a wizard, nor a chief warlock, he would just shake dust off his feet. That's what we need to understand. If someone is a chief warlock or a wizard, in that case, you have to be on them 24/7 as a group. But if someone is not a chief wizard nor a warlock, no chief warlock nor a wizard, then you just shake those off your feet and move on. Once you do your thing by hinting something's wrong and you don't want to hear about it, shake your dust feet and move on. You can still pray for the situation. You can still take action from a distance, but do not call out things in the open when people are collaborating with it. Let me ask you a question. I want you to imagine this. Let's say you are driving on the road and now there's a police car sign to you, you need to pull over. Oh, but look at this. You have 10 kilograms of cocaine in your car. It's hidden in your car. Are you happy that that you encounter this police car? Let me know. Let's say you have 10 kilograms. You have 10 kilograms of cocaine in your car that you're transporting. Would you be happy to encounter a police car? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Or maybe it's not 10 kilograms of cocaine, or maybe it's some other substance, or maybe some stolen goods, whatever. No, you wouldn't. Why? Because that police officer, he has been delegated authority by the public to arrest people. And if he pulls you over, he may decide to want to search your car. And if you refuse to allow him to search your car, you're allowed to do that. But then suspicion comes, would you allow him to search your car? You can call for backup. And then when they find out the cocaine or the stuff, you go to prison. You don't want to go to prison. You're going to get a criminal record. So you're not happy seeing the police car. You're not happy seeing the police officer. Of course you aren't, because he is a threat to your ease. Well, understand this. When you call out the obvious that people are collaborating with, you are like this police officer discovering their cocaine. Or maybe it's not cocaine, maybe it's a dead body. Okay, let's go further. Let's say there's a dead body in a car. They just killed someone and there's a dead body, a corpse in a car. Would they be happy? Not even a police officer, but would they be happy with a child approaching them? No, they wouldn't, because the child may sense the smell and talk about it. People are going to say, this child told us there was a car there that stank a lot. So people are going to think, how can a car be stinking that much? They may try to come after them. When people have something horrible to hide, they don't want anyone with innocence coming near them. Oh, let me repeat that. When people have something dark or something horrible to hide, they do not want people with innocence or people with a pure view to come and see what goes on. That is why, as a believer, there are going to be people avoiding you. Why are those people avoiding you? Why are they turning on you? Because you see things properly, and they are afraid that you will figure out their darkness. Because once you figure them out, there's no way they can have a hold on you anymore. So some people prefer to become enemies of you than for you to figure out their negativity, to figure out their darkness. Now look, I said it before. When you counsel an evildoer, you do it the right way, that will benefit the community. There must be opportunities for the evildoer to amend their ways and become better. The and the action taken must only be there to protect the community. So in a healthy counsel culture, or in a healthy counseling, it should only be about evildoers, not about messed up people. If someone is messed up or someone is psychologically disturbed, they need help, and you force help on them. You tell them, hey, you're going to therapy right now, or okay, we don't want you to perform anymore because you're definitely not in your right mind. So we can't have you perform and you're not in your right mind. So counseling should only be applied to actual evildoers, and it should always be about protecting the community. It shouldn't be about, oh, we can't stand this guy, let's take him out. No. But here's the thing, no evildoer gets away with their wrongdoing unless the public is collaborating. So the moment you call out the evildoer, you're also calling out the public. And the public is going to feel humiliated when you call them out. So they're going to take revenge on you for calling them out. Even if you never mentioned their name, even if you never posted their picture, even if you never exposed them directly, they are involved. And they know deep down inside they are involved. Because here's the thing, if you call out the evildoer and expose the evildoer, at some point everyone's going to think, hold on a minute, but this evildoer is not that powerful. How come the community didn't notice anything? And that's going to look bad on them. So anytime you call out an evildoer, it will look bad on the public who enabled the evildoer. So the public will turn on you. Now look, where if you do think something needs to be called out on, for example, this child trafficking or whatever, then show the facts, show the proof that they can't deny, and then people have no choice but to recognize it. So look, The present day cancel culture, not only is it rooted in revenge, so it's not focused on a solution, but the people often endanger themselves. Let me give an example. Let's say you have a film director who made successful movies, and then you find out that this guy was sexually harassing some women. In that case, you recognize his talent, how he contributed to the culture, but you recognize the human being was messed up. And we dealt with the human being by giving him a prison sentence, by forcing him to therapy to reform him. That's what you do. But you're not going to say, oh, this film director is a sexist and that sexually harassed women. First of all, is there proof he sexually harassed women? Secondly, if it was actual sexual harassment, how come nobody, everyone allowed it to happen? So if you want to call out the film director, now you have to call out everyone that was around. And people are not willing to go that far. Are you sure there was sexual harassment? Or are those not just women who just want to take revenge for not being able to take advantage of them anymore? You need to look at the whole situation. But what happens now in the present day, what they call cancel culture, when there are allegations of misconduct concerning a public figure, people automatically begin to explode on an individual, especially if the complaints come from females. And the target is a male, they automatically explode on the individual. Or if you go against the rainbow community, you say something very hurtful about them, they explode on you too. They don't even go into a proper investigation, find out what goes on. So they immediately demand you to be taken off the radio, taken off TV, to ban your books, or to stop inviting you to parties, or they want you to lose your income, they want you to become homeless. When you have friends and relatives begin to harass your friends and relatives online so they can dissociate from you, it's quite vicious. They go into a full attack just because the public is hurt. But hold on. Let's say someone committed sexual harassment 15 years ago. According to law, it can't be prosecuted anymore. But meanwhile, the man changed. He's not that same creep anymore. He has changed and he has become a better man. He's a family man now. Okay, then you have to call him out saying, look, how you used to be 15 years ago was wrong. Okay, but we're happy that you face yourself and you're improving now and you're willing to receive feedback. If you do that, you still called an individual out, but at least you honor the fact that they were working on themselves to become better. When you do this, then people will say, okay, it's true, you called it out, but hey, time passed by, the individual had opportunities to change and he did change. Now, if someone did not change and they're the same creep, then you can shut them down just to give a message to the public that we got you. But you're not going to deny the contribution. If they contributed to the culture, they contributed. Because here's the thing, I don't care what the crime is someone committed or how horrible someone is. If they contributed to your culture or to your community, and you don't, and you wanna and you wanna then and you want to completely erase them from history, which is not possible, you're going into a delusion. For example, let's look at, for example, Apple. You all know, like the company Apple, that produces iPhones, iPads, iMacs, all of that. Steve Jobs, who is seen as the key figure that made Apple big, he passed away a while ago. But the icon Steve Jobs that the public knew, people loved the guy. I mean, at least the Apple fans. The Apple fans loved the guy. They saw Steve Jobs as a great genius. But the human being, the actual human being, Steve Jobs, in his relationships with other people, he was not such a great guy. And I'm not here slandering Steve Jobs. You can go online or go into do your own research, and you find out that a lot of people have difficulty working with that guy because that guy was highly narcissistic. If I'm wrong, call me out on it. Okay. Now, this guy passed away. Now, the Apple fans who were not closely involved with him saw him as his great revolutionary icon. The truth was, he was narcissistic, and this harmed the people around him. He caused harm to a lot of people, directly, indirectly. There were times um, in the company Apple, things didn't go well, and he was so insistent on his way, began to blame everyone else. Multiple times, they put him out of his function because of that. Imagine this: you're one of the guys that are making a company big. You're one of the founders of a company, but people in the own company want to put you out of office. That means something's terribly wrong over there. Now, did anyone call out to counsel Steve Jobs? Well, he was dead already. So, oh, what use is it to counsel him? But look at this. Let's say now people say post-mortem, we need to counsel Steve Jobs. That means Apple needs to be erased. Apple needs to be demolished and all iPhones needs to be thrown away. All tab iPads or MacBooks. Is this going to benefit the community to erase Apple completely? No, because a lot of students in university are using Apple. Apple is a Apple is an let me say the operation system of Apple works well for people in the arts or into video editing. So are you telling me now that all the film studios or all the people in the arts or all the people doing creative things that are using at the Apple softwares now need to stop using it because Steve Jobs was a horrible man? You don't see how counterproductive that is? So yes, if you wanna counsel someone because they were actually a horrible human being or they were an evildoer, then you shut them down for having further influence, but their contribution is still there. You still need to recognize them. Because the moment you begin to deny their contribution, you come into a delusion. And that's another problem with the present day cancel culture. They want to go against reality by pretending like the past never happened. That's not the right way to go. For example, there's certain movies from Hollywood that were banned because they were racist or quote unquote sexist. Now, old Hollywood, so Hollywood before the 1950s, had quite some racism in it. Absolutely. And me, being from the tribe of Judah, me, being what they say a black man or from African ancestry, I'm not okay with that. But here's the thing: you should still allow those movies to be available to the public, but you should put a disclaimer. This movie comes from an era when a lot of racism was still tolerated. So a lot of things in this movie may be offensive. Give people a disclaimer of the movie before they watch it. In that case, you take responsibility for allowing this to be available to the public. Why? Because the public needs to see how things were before the 1950s in Hollywood. So they can understand that Hollywood had a rough and dark beginning, but eventually, when it comes to racism, it kind of changed. Not completely, but you get what I'm saying. But if you ban all those movies that have racism in it, now people are going to think like, oh, people now are going to get a wrong view of the past. But if you allow those movies to be available, you don't have to promote those old movies, but if you allow them to be available, you can see, whoa, what's going on there? And by people realizing how horrible it was in the old Hollywood, people don't realize, you know what, we don't want to be like that. Let's be better. You motivate people to be better today. But if you ban all those movies and you allow them, people can't figure out anymore how things were in the past, people now think, whoa, well, things were not that bad in the past. Now people are going to think that the racism in the past was a joke. But if you allow those movies to circulate, now people can say, hold on a minute, this was quite bad. This is wrong. Now look, if it's something related to if it's something related to things that harm children directly, then okay, then you can ban them. But you should explain why you're banning them. So, for example, if there's a hand guide on how to groom children out there on Amazon, whatever, you should ban it. And then give an explanation. This book is banned because it teaches predators how to groom children. So you give a disclaimer and you give an explanation when you ban it. But right now in cancel culture, it's not even about actual harmful things. Someone just does not validate the escape of a group of people, and then suddenly they want to offload on an individual as if he's the worst villain ever. So honestly, what I'm saying, when you cancel a horrible human being or an evildoer, it must be done consistently with the public well being. Again, Bill Gates is another figure that, well, he has some controversy with him, a lot of it. And you all know what I'm talking about concerning Bill Gates. Think about what was going on for the past years. Let's people say we need to cancel Bill Gates. Hey, I'm using a Windows computer now, and I'm using Windows 11, and Windows 11 works quite well. When I was younger, Windows XP came out, and I have some nice memories with Windows XP. Even though Windows XP stands for hero, Windows hero means because Apollo was also called a pig in ancient Greece. So hero XP because the Greek letter is similar to the X and the P. So I know that Windows XP, the name was in honor of Apollo, but nevertheless, Windows XP, I have some good memories with it. That's where social media kind of started. If you say you need to cancel Bill Gates completely and erase him from history, that means that I would have to go against my memories with Windows XP, and that will cause psychological harm on me. That means that all the live streams I make using a Windows computer, I would have to delete them too, because it was made with Windows from that horrible man. So do you understand now how far cancel culture today goes? They don't look for an actual solution for the community. They just want to erase any remembrance from an individual. But I'm sorry, if you would cancel Steve Jobs post post-mortem, or if you cancel Bill Gates, now he's still alive, most of the world's economy would crash, and many of you wouldn't be able to use social media anymore. Simple as that. Counseling a horrible human being or uh, counseling an evildoer should be done consistent with the public well-being. The only reason you counsel someone is to make sure that the public feels safe and welcome. But you're still going to contribute, you're still going to acknowledge your contributions. If someone is an evildoer, but he provided a lot of jobs so that people could feed their families, at least acknowledge he provided a lot of jobs for people to feed their families. But now you put him aside and you come with someone else. The problem with present council culture is they want to erase someone completely from history and erase their contributions. And by doing that, you're causing more harm than good. Now think about it. Let's say you were listening to, let's say, R. Kelly when you were younger. Well, R. Kelly has quite some sexualized songs. Some of them are quite graphic. But anyway, let's say you were listening to R. Kelly with your buddies during high school. And you went to the club, to the discotheque, and all of that. And now today you find out that has been convicted for, I believe, I'm sure it's sex trafficking or whatever. Anyway, he has been convicted and now he has to go to prison for 20 years. And now you have people saying mute R. Kelly because R. Kelly was doing harmful things to black women. Okay, that R. Kelly has his wrongs, that's obvious. Okay? But hold on a minute. He still produced quality music and quality songs that affected the community, that affected the culture. And a lot of people have memories, social memories related to this man. If you say mute R. Kelly, you're actually saying that, hold on a minute. I can understand you don't want R. Kelly to make money anymore because you want to put some restriction on him because he's so-called this horrible human being. But okay, what are you saying now to all those other people who have memories of this music? You tell them they're all horrible people for liking R. Kelly's songs. What you're doing now is you're triggering feelings of guilt in people. And now people have to fight themselves. Oh, we got 30 years. Oh, I was wrong. And when you trigger people to fight themselves, now listen, if you like or enjoy a certain song from R. Kelly, that doesn't mean you are subscribing to the wrongdoings he was doing or the negativity he was in. He produced music is what he did as a musician. And if the music was good and you enjoy it, well, there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with the maker of the music, R. Kelly, but there's something wrong with you. So you playing that music doesn't mean you're endorsing R. Kelly's negativity. Apart from the dark things he was doing, the music is still objectively music he made that was of quality. Now you may say, "Oh, but I don't like the type of music," but that's your preference. You cannot say now R. Kelly never existed. Oh, don't even mention R. Kelly. Oh, it's too painful. Hold on. If you're doing this with R. Kelly, they try to do it with Bill Cosby too. Why aren't you doing it with all the other public figures that have controversy attached to them? Oh, now it gets quiet. Now think about this. Yet the Ghislaine Maxwell, she got convicted in prison. She got convicted to prison. All right? But look at this. She and Epstein, whom they say committed suicide, she and Epstein They were involved in a sex trafficking ring involving minors. All right? There were clients ordering those minors. Hold on. How come Ghislaine Maxwell is convicted in court, but in a court case, they don't even mention one of the clients? I mean, if there is a pedophile ring operating and there are clients ordering access to those minors or those children, then those clients should be mentioned and they should be prosecuted too. How come Ghislaine Maxwell is convicted, but none of the clients are mentioned? That's already a red flag. So why aren't people digging up who are the clients? Who are those dirty motherfuckers? And let's get them canceled. Let's go after them. Why are they doing that? Oh, because many of those alleged clients are people they don't want to be canceled. Because if you have to go after all those potential clients, you would have to cancel a lot of people. If you want to erase them from history, much of the thing it will affect too many people in a harmful way. Oh, so this is what you need to understand. The present day cancel culture, or the people that insist on the modern cancel culture, they're very selective of the people they cancel. They don't use the same treatment for everyone. For example, let's talk about Elvis Presley. It came out that Elvis Presley's wife was quite young when she got involved with Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was already of age, but she was still a minor. Look it up for yourself how old they were when they began their thing. But till this day, many of the people of European ancestry still say Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. He's the king. Don't talk about the king Elvis Presley. Oh, but the king of R&B, R. Kelly. Oh, he needs to be cancelled. He needs to be erased. Horrible. Mute him. Hold on a minute. If you say that R. Kelly is a horrible human being and therefore he needs to be erased from history, all his accomplishments need to be done away with, why does Elvis Presley get a pass? Is it because he's from European ancestry? Oh, so there are hidden racial motives in place. Yes, it is. So, present-day cancel culture is not aimed at resolving anything nor improving people. It's all about people just want to escape by putting a negative focus on someone else. So, present-day cancel culture has nothing to do with canceling evildoers nor bad people. Look, I'm not here to defend R. Kelly. I'm just use R. Kelly as an example. All right? Yes, R. Kelly made some good songs. Does it automatically mean that because I agree he made some good songs that I agree with everything else was doing? No, I do not. What I'm saying is that if you look at present day cancel culture, it's a witch hunt. Even Obama, who's a Democrat and a liberal, spoke out against cancel culture. There are many others who did it. The present day cancel culture also brings forth more violence and reprobates. Let me explain. I want you to imagine this. You have a woman who was sexually promiscuous, sleeping around here and there, even sleeping around with other people's husbands. And at some point, uh, she realized that she was just wasting herself. She got herself together into therapy. She got a job. She went back to college, and now she's married. What if now, 10 years in a marriage, suddenly people are going to drop pictures from when she was 17, hoeing around in the streets, or pictures when she was 20, 24 in a club, hopping all those men? I mean, that's more than 20, maybe 30 years ago. But now that she's a housewife, she adopted children because she was a bit older to get children, so she adopted children, or she became the stepmom of her husband's children. Now she's a housewife and a stepmom, or maybe a mom herself. Suddenly people want to go off at her. But hold on a minute, she improved. She's not that hoe in the streets causing trouble anymore. She's not that narcissist anymore. Yes, she was a reprobate, but this reprobate, which is rare, this reprobate improved. So why not give credit to Heavenly Father that this reprobate improved? This will motivate more people that are in the negative to become better. Here's the thing. If you would go after such a woman, what message will it give to the younger women who are messed up? They're going to think, you know what? What's the point of becoming a virtuous and feminine woman? What's the point of becoming better as a female if at some point people can still hurt you by throwing your thoughts in your face? So more women are going to surrender themselves to this horrible lifestyle of this Jezebel lifestyle, and you're going to get more reprobate females to deal with. Because those women are going to think, okay, Alicia over there, she was hoeing around. She was quite horrible when she was younger, but look at her now. She's a happy housewife and mom. She's about to become a grandma soon. And look how they're doing her. She admitted she was wrong. She admitted her past. She admitted how horrible she was, and she became a better human being. Why aren't people praising that? Okay, they should admit how she was wrong, but she made amends. So hold on a minute. If she made amends and they still want to hurt her, what will it do to me? That means I'll be next. So if they're going to hurt me anyway, why should I even be a good human being? Why should I even improve? Why should I even care about the community if the community will come out against me? Now, let me give you an example from from I believe it was the 1990s. There was this drug dealer that became a drug lord. I don't like the word lord, use the word lord when it comes to human beings, but anyway, there was this quote unquote drug lord, Pablo Escobar. Some of you may know who he was. He was the richest drug dealer on the earth. He made millions each day. He was became a billionaire. This man began to help out the poor people in Colombia, his homeland. At some point, he wanted to leave the drug dealing business behind him and use the money made with drugs for good use, invest in the Colombian economy. And he even wanted to go into politics to achieve this. But when he started his political career, the other politicians brought out that he gained his wealth with selling drugs and he was cancelled. What happened afterwards? Pablo Escobar and his gang, they launched an attack on the Colombian government. A civil war emerged. There was already a civil war going on in Colombia. Now you had to say two civil wars at the same time. Pablo Escobar had so much money, even had tanks as military equipment with his disposal. Now, the wizards got rid of him eventually. But think about this. Again, I'm not supporting Pablo Escobar. He's dead, by the way. I'm not supporting him. What he was doing in crime, poisoning the streets with all that cocaine. I'm not supporting him doing that. He did all of that. But at some point, when he decided, I now want to use the money I made illegally for good use, the public should have called him out on how he got this money. That's true. But public said, okay, listen, Pablo. Listen, Mr. Escobar. You want to use your money for good use by joining politics? Okay. Then show us proof of what you're doing to improve the community. Show us receipts. And if Pablo Escobar showed them receipts, say, okay, you're doing that well, but we still want to put you on guard because you still have ties to the criminal world. Some of the people from the criminal world, we try to come after you. So, okay, you want to improve and contribute to Colombia the positive way, fine. But still, this is yourself from your past. Because that's what they should have done. If they would have done that, I don't know exactly how history would have turned out because I'm not a psychic, okay? But it wouldn't have turned out as ugly on Colombia as it did. So them canceling Pablo Escobar led to worse violence in Colombia. Because here's the thing, more people in Colombia thought, hold on a minute, if Pablo Escobar, this billionaire, now wants to use his billions to build up Colombia, who's quite poor, and now the politicians keep complaining about the poverty are hindering him, that means the people really don't want solutions, just want to offload on someone. And look at this. Pablo Escobar was doing more for local communities when it comes to uh, exterminating poverty than the Colombian government did. So many people in the public think, you know what? We might as well become criminals just like Pablo Escobar and go off. Because hey, you have a criminal that wants to reform himself and now they go against him. So here's the thing. When you counsel people the wrong way, you trigger more danger and violence in your community. And that is going on with council culture today. They're generating more enemies and more reprobates, and because there's going to be more actual victims out there. So Should us believers participate in the modern day cancel culture? Absolutely not. The present day cancel culture is a demonic movement where those worldlings want to offload their anger. That's it. So, and listen, they often turn on each other too, and that's what's happening right now. This Roe versus Wade thing that was overturned in the United States. Look, one of the reasons why Roe versus Wade was overturned isn't just because in the U.S. Constitution there's no guarantee for this thing called abortion. Another reason why the Roe versus Wade was overturned is also because this is a backfire from the toxic cancel culture. I mean, okay, it's one thing to call out someone if they are sexually harmful, okay? That happened to the Me Too movement. But it's another thing to criminalize and demonize all men for having sex drive. That goes way too far. And look at this. A lot of those people that are into this modern cancel culture, they love to use the law as a tool to go off at people. Well, the conservatives thought, you know what? If you want to play that game, we can play it too. Let's go by the law. You want to use the law to attack people? No, we can use the law too. So your insistence on abortion, well, sorry, but that's no constitutional guarantee. Wow, it backfired on those leftists. And what are they doing now? They're going crazy. They're losing it. Now, I didn't intend to talk about the Roe versus Wade situation because we all know that thing we know it's a mess. But understand, when you go out there to counsel people, not for the right reason to preserve the community, but you just want to act out on someone to feel better about yourself, when you do this as an individual, there are going to be people turning on you because not everyone is going to sit down and allow you to spit venom like that of hurting the community. If you as a group do it, people are going to radicalize against you. And then you're going to have one group attacking another. It's going to be back, it's going to go back and forth. Oh, and here's another thing. That feminist hysteria through the Me Too movement, as well as in cancel culture, it hurts more women than it helps them. Because far more women now are missing out on good men that could become their husbands. Why? Because a lot of men, especially men who have something to lose, are now thinking, you know what? I'm not even going to sexually approach a woman and invite her into a relationship because she may use the invitation, not aggression, but invitation. She may perceive my invitation as an aggression and call the cops on me, or she may play the victim around, and then I'm going to be counseled. So a lot of men thought, you know what? I'm not even going to approach them. And you also have this movement called MGTOW, or you also have another movement called Red Pill. You also have Black Pill. You have many of those men's rights movements now who are now gaining more popularity. And by those men's rights movements getting more popularity, there's a growing hostility towards females also. And that will lead to more violence against women, and it's also lead to a lot of women missing out on good men. So this feminist hysteria in this cancel culture and in the Me Too movement, it brought more harm to women than it did good. And now it's backfiring more and more. So understand this. Present day cancel culture is demonic. Now, cancel culture in itself, if you do it the proper way, can be beneficial to the community, but that's not what they're doing today. Think about it. You posted a tweet 10 years ago. The tweet was um, a bit insensitive, but now you don't even remember the tweet. You don't even agree with what you posted online. They could just say, "Yo, man, the thing you posted 10 years ago, man, what the heck was that?" And you tell, "Huh? What did I post it? Man, I don't know why I posted that." It would be over, be resolved. What do you do today? No, 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 no. You post 10 years ago. It's horrible. It's racist. It's sexist. Oh, you need to die. You need to lose your income. You need to lose everything. You need to become you need to become a pathetic loser. We want you to go down. No, 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 no. That's what they're doing. And at the same time, those same people who insist on this toxic cancel culture, they are submitting to this thing called society, which is a narcissist. So hold on a minute. The same people that submit to the toxicity of society now insist that you need to be counseled. So they claim you're toxic and you need to go, while they submit to the toxicity of society. You see the double standard over here? And what if people counsel you and destroy your livelihood and later they find out you're innocent? Oh crap. You're not a rapist. You've been acquitted from all charges. Oh, that woman lied on you that you were aroused, that you aroused. That woman just wanted attention. Such things happen. Women want attention just to ease their lack of self-worth, and they lie that someone harassed them just to get attention. It happens. Oh dear, that woman lied on you. Oh shit. But you were fired from your job. You're on a blacklist. Oh crap. Good luck, man. Even though they were the people that were murmuring about you to get you counseled. Now it comes out you're innocent. Are they going to apologize? Are they going to give back your job? Are they going to give back your livelihood? Are they going to help you to rebuild your life afterwards? No, they won't. Some people even took their own lives when they were counseled because they were being accused of things that were not true, but nobody wanted to listen, and they began to lose everything. Some people even committed suicide because they couldn't handle it anymore. Can those people that were counseled them, can they resurrect them from the dead and give them back their lives? Can they help the relatives who now have to mourn the one that took his own life or her own life? No, they can't. So, should you counsel horrible human beings and evildoers? Yes, but you do it in a proper way to protect the community. It's the community's well-being should be the focus. If the focus not the community, that means you're just on a witch hunt, as simple as that, and you're the toxic ones. As simple as that. Now, I'm not saying that a lot of those toxic counselors don't have a point, but they're toxic themselves, so they need to repent. Look, calling out bad people or evil people should be done with discretion because, again, if the public got along with it, that means you also need to be brave enough to realize that a lot of the people around you are just cowards. But a lot of those people that are so into this cancel culture, they don't want to admit that the public is responsible too. They just want to focus on that one individual. Because if they focus on the whole public, they may get the whole public after them. They don't want that. Simple as that. So, about the present cancel culture. As a believer, the only way to stay from the present cancel culture is by not participating in it. Just do not participate in it. Simple as that. By not participating in the present cancel culture, you're not fueling it. And by you not fueling it, you don't become part of it. By not becoming part of it, those toxic people can't have a grip on you. So beware with the company you keep. Because it's a company you keep that will turn on you often if they're toxic. And look at this. When people want to counsel you because they have an issue with you, they'll go so far that they will hurt their own children and their own environment because they can't get to you. So sometimes the government will also turn on you, not because the government has something against you, but because the government does want the public to go crazy and that's start destroying everything. People will go crazy and destroy their own neighborhood and harm their own children just because they can't get some certain individual consults. That's how deep rooted uh, the negativity is. You may even be convicted in a court of law based on circumstantial evidence, not because you're actually guilty, not because the judge or the jury is convinced that you're guilty, but because they don't want the public to go crazy and start making victims out there. That's how far it goes. Sometimes you get convicted in a court of law not because you're guilty, but because the judge and sometimes the jury does not want you to be acquitted from charges. Because if you're acquitted from charges, they can see that's going to lead to riots, it's going to lead to people suicide jumping, turning one another, screaming in the streets, and all of that. So sometimes they will get along with the demand of the public and get you in prison. Or as what happened to Jesus, they got along to get Jesus crucified or executed. Christ was not convicted in court because of any wrongdoing. He was convicted because the masses would cause a bloodbath if Christ was not crucified. That's why the authorities got along with it. And the same is happening today. A lot of people in prison are only there because if they have been released from all charges, they would have either been killed very soon, and no judge wants to live with the thought that they got a defendant killed by releasing him. No jury member wants to deal with that either. Or if they would have released the guy, there would have been harm in the community. So I'm sorry to say, but a lot of people in prison are not there because of any guilt or any crime, but just because the public was unstable. Those are the living sacrifices that the public makes. And the legal system gets along with it just to keep ease in the public. Simple as that. If enough people don't like you, even the authorities will turn on you just to keep the masses at ease. Even Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, normally you go to a court of law in the Roman Empire if there's a crime. They didn't even go to an actual court of law. They went directly to the magistrates. They went immediately to the governor, immediately to King Herod. So they bypassed the legal procedure. Even Pilate said, no, I want to release this man. This man is not guilty of anything. But no, the public said, crucify him. If you don't crucify him, you're not a friend of Caesar. Because remember, Pontius Pilate had a criminal record himself, and the emperor of Rome said, next time things go wrong in Judea, you're finished. So they used his spots against him just to get Christ crucified. This is how far the public went. And even said, our king is Caesar. Even though we don't like Caesar at all, we prefer him as king than this Jesus over here. Oh, Barabbas, this scam artist that even kills his own people, man, release him. Let him put up with Barabbas. We can look spit on him, look down on him. That's Jesus, that's so innocent, and that's doing good. Christ got molested and executed because of the public wanting to escape. That is why. So if this happened to Christ, what makes you think it doesn't happen today with other people? It happens a lot. That's why I made a video years ago called "Run If You Know You're Being Scapegoated." I didn't mean that you have to be a coward running away, literally. I just meant that, listen, if you know these people are considering you as a candidate for their unrest, get out of that situation as much as possible. Get out of the situation. Don't stay there. Because this is what you need to understand. Fallen mankind is addicted to offloading their unrest on other people. It's the way society operates. So once people feel comfortable targeting you with their unrest, it's very unlikely they'll ever stop and admit that they were wrong and unstable. They will try to justify what they've done, or they will blame you for it, or will just avoid you. And then the negative will continue. So if you notice that you're about to be selected as a candidate, get out of the situation before it goes too far. Even Jesus said that you ought to be ahead of such things. Just like with Jesus, they used the law. They used the Hebrew law in Judea, and they used Roman law. They used the law to get what they want, namely counseling Jesus. Now Christ reversed it, so they couldn't counsel him, but you got what I'm saying. The same thing that if they did this to Christ, what makes you think they're going to treat you any better? The same way it happens to believers and unbelievers. Both believers and unbelievers are consults in the world, and people use the law to do it. Even if you're innocent and you didn't commit any crime, they can still use the law against you, one way or the other. So, present day cancel culture, do not participate in it. Because the people that keep it going are not good people. If they were good people, they would be contributing to solution to the community. They're not. And I'm telling you, this cancel culture thing is going to escalate and get worse and worse. It's going to lead to public venting of rage everywhere. Especially since this Roe versus Wade thing happened, That's triggering more cancel culture, especially amongst the liberals. So it's going to get rougher and rougher. Just be prepared. Just be prepared. The thing is, public offense was always a thing from of any time. But the thing is, Christ made plain that in the end of times, in the last days, or in let's say the end time, people are going to be so easily offended because they absolutely refuse to deal with anything in life. And they're going to be so offended, they're going to become homicidal. And even close relatives will turn on one another. Parents against children, children against parents, um, relatives against you, kin against kin. So understand this: modern day cancel culture is demonic hate movement. And at some point, they're going to come for believers. At some point, it's going to be turned around and they're going to start blaming believers for everything. It's not happening right now, but it's coming. Little by little, they're going to come after believers. And that's going to end up in the great tribulation. That's prophesied. So all this cancel culture is just a build up towards the great tribulation. That is what it is. So do not participate against any of the participate in any of this. But anyway, that was the live stream. Are there any questions about this topic? Please let me know in the live chat. Thank you very much. If you have to go now, you can go. But if you have any questions, I'm still here to answer them. The live stream only took 1 hour and stuff and like 8 minutes. Okay, that's good. By the way, I made a live stream yesterday about holy angelic beings. Please go and watch it. I gave valuable information there about the spirit world that will benefit you in daily life. Please watch the live stream about holy angelic beings. So this cancel culture rage is going to get worse and worse. Just be prepared. Don't be afraid. Don't be anxious. Don't be paranoid. No, be prepared. Avoid participation and always leave any situation that suggests you being next. Just do that. That's not being coward. That's being a coward. That's being realistic. Well, that's it for now. Thank you all for being here. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.